This way. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent. And I'm here with my co-host, Laura Biewer, founder of CoachMeLaura.com, and so much, Laura. Laura, how's it going?
You know what? This is my love day. Yes, it's a good day. One serious thing to share and one funny thing to share. I went to a little fundraiser for a woman breast cancer. And so my son's girlfriend is a hairstylist, and she was doing a cut-a-thon where they cut as many people's hair as possible to raise funds. So I didn't need my haircut, but I went anyways. And I said, well, I see you've got door prize stuff with raffle tickets. Why don't I just get some of those for you? So she said, okay, great. So I put all my tickets in one basket that had like Starbucks stuff in it. I thought, okay, I like this. And she said, oh, I hope you get it. And I said, oh, there's no hope. It's mine. I've already decided I've won. Call me when they pull my number. And I left. That was it. She texted me later. This is on Sunday, and says, oh my God, you manifested it. It's yours. I won the basket. So you just never know, right? You can make your destiny happen. You just got to lean into it and believe it. Now for more serious matters, Coach Me Laura is who I'm the founder of and what I do. And right now I am coaching back in California. And so the exciting news is the first one sold out, I think, like in 24 hours. It was just quick. I didn't even realize it happened. So we put a second session in, and as of an hour ago, there were only 8 seats left. So if you have missed the news about the second session and you're California and you wanted to work on your skill, your notary skill, this is not about marketing or sales. This is all about improving your competency and confidence level at actually handling different notary certificates that come our way, and feeling good about what you do, meaning I filled it out, I modified it, I replaced it, what were my options, did I do the right thing? So that's what this one is about. And if you missed it, maybe there's some seats left. It'll be a while before I come back to do California again. So that's my exciting news there, and glad to see everybody here. We got 160 people to start. And Bill,
yeah,
do we want to get started?
Yeah, we'll jump in here and get started with the TNT portion. I posted the link to CoachMeLaura.com/CA for California if you want to be one of the last 8 people to join that. Each session is capped out at 38. So there's already 30 people in there. So grab your seat if you're even remotely interested in this thing. Okay, and then while we're on doing announcements, I also just want to remind everyone that this coming Thursday, the National Notary Association is doing their Success Summit. I'll be one of the speakers with Jennifer Neitzel, and we're going to be talking about how we grew our home builder business. Plus, there's some other really great presentations in there, all for, I think it's $79 for the entire day's worth, and you get the replays. You get access to the replays for 45 days afterwards. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to post the link in there for you as well. And finally, one more. Thursday's a busy day, but we've been talking about the Notary Toastmasters group that is going really strong right now, and it's gaining momentum. And Toastmasters is extremely helpful for us in this business. If you'd like to be part of a Toastmasters meeting, you can attend for free, but they're doing an open house kind of with some industry influencers doing some speeches. That's on Thursday morning. I'm going to post the link to notarymasters.org in the chat window as well, so you can participate there. One way or the other, we've got some kind of event for you going on this week to participate in. All right, we'll probably circle back and talk about those as we get more people on the call. But for right now, let's jump into Tuesday Notary Titans. Yeah. TNT runs like a old-fashioned call-in radio show, except that we're on Zoom, we're on video. It works a lot easier if you use the raise hand feature in Zoom to raise your hand. When we call on you, remember to tell us what state you're in. And then also remember the framework for a question. Get right to your question. Ask it, maybe give us a little bit of context, direct question, hit mute and let us answer. And if we need some more information, we'll delve deep, but that way we can get through as many questions as possible today. All right, looks like Gloria Holt, you are our first guest.
Hey, hi,
Gloria.
Just very quick, I know this isn't a question, just wanted to thank you for Jim Allen's Google My Business. That was outstanding. Thank you.
You're so welcome, and thanks for mentioning that too. Jim Allen, the marketing notary, you may have seen him on Clubhouse. Fantastic Google My Business or Google Business Profile training that he had on Sunday. You'll be seeing a lot more of him, I think. I was so impressed with that training. Thanks, Gloria.
Yes, that was good. Okay, my questions are having to do with loan signings. First one is I'm thinking of sending a notice to the signing companies. I deal with about maybe 3 or 4 of them predominantly, and just letting them know that I'd like to raise my fees. You know, we're paying damn near $5 a gallon out here for gasoline. So do you recommend that, or should I do that? They've been pretty consistent on price, but I was thinking to up that a little bit.
Great question. Laura, what do you have opinion on this?
Yeah,
Delivery method?
I mean, if you need to raise your price, I just raise the price on the next job that came and say my fee is X. I don't know that I'd send them a letter warning them. I would just say, hey, I'd love to take that job. My fee is now this. And if they ask about it, you could certainly say, you know, we've had a lot of increases, and so I needed to make this change. Or you don't even have to justify it. This is now my rate. Now, does it mean that you won't get the job? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on how far away that is from what their budget is, because they have a budget as well.
Okay.
Bill, do you want to add to that?
That's exactly.
Yes, thanks.
That's exactly what I would do. I would not recommend blanket, like to whom it may concern. My fees are now going up. I wouldn't do that. Keep the relationship personal and just do it on a per signing basis. If you want an extra $5, $10, $25, whatever it is, spark that negotiation. If it triggers a conversation, great. Then like Laura said, you can have that conversation. But fuel prices have gone up, paper prices have gone up. So it's very real for our situation. And yes, there's refinances are slowing down, guys. We've been talking about this for quite some time. So the refinances are now slowing down, and they becomes a little more competitive in that pool with lenders and escrow companies that have been playing the Walmart game of pricing. They now want you to lower your prices rather than raise them, and it may not work for you, but this is your opportunity. There's still plenty of signings. They're just not refinance signings. They're purchases, new home construction, other types of purchase transactions and things like that. So keep that in mind as you're building this.
Okay, good. The second one has to do with, I'm building my website. So would you recommend on the, you know, where you should list your fees, having a separate fee list for loan signings versus direct? How to present that in the website?
It's a good question. So I think about my ideal customer. Who is it that I'm building this website for? It's most likely not escrow officers and signing companies, first of all, right? They find you other ways. They find you on the directories. They find you through your relationship building activities. So when people are finding your website, most of them, like 95, 98% probably, are going to be people who are Googling notary near me for specialty or general notary work. So that if I was going to post a fee structure at all, I probably would not include loan signings, or for loan signings, please contact me. Let them know that you do them, but maybe not post the price. In fact, so even on the general or specialty notary work side, I usually only posted the state mandated, right? The notary fee is limited to $10 plus here it's like 54 cents per mile round trip. And that's what I would post for an exact quote. Please contact me. Here's my phone number, text, call, text, email. And then because I want to get them on the phone. I don't want, because I want to build that relationship. I want to ask the probing questions because remember, with the public in particular, they don't necessarily know what they need. They were told they need a notary for this, but what document is it? What series of documents is it? I want to get a chance to ask those questions.
Mhm. Okay. The third one is a real quick one too. I had a call from a title company in Maryland, and they asked a fee for I think it was a purchase. It was a refinance. Anyway, I didn't ask any further than that, and I quoted, I think what it was is basically a loan signing fee. I think that was really a direct. And then when the documents came, they also required scans, which was kind of a little bit much for what I quoted, but I didn't complain. I went ahead and did the job for them. And so how do you identify when it's a title company and when it's, when it's loan signing company or? I suspect they were direct.
Well, they called you.
Mm-hmm.
So the first way I would do is ask.
Okay.
I want to know who my customer is. Who is this? Who are you with? Have we done business together already? How'd you find me? Those types of questions.
Oh.
Ask those probing questions because there's also some shysters out there too, Gloria, right? There's people who take advantage of us and do stuff like that. So I want to find out who it is. Is this a personal referral? Is it just a random? Did you find me on signing agent? What it is? Laura, do you have any suggestions on that?
I think right away came to mind was to ask more information about two things. One is who's calling me, although I'll tell you, I charge the same. If the signing service can afford me, they're going to pay the same as the pretty close to the title direct ones. But the other piece is I always find out what the scope of work is. So I start saying, okay, you need me to travel, you need me to print, you need me to collect signatures, and you need me to notarize. Are there scans part of this? Do I have to hit the Dropbox same day? Understanding the scope of work before I give a quote for me is really important. Otherwise, I may over quote or under quote because I didn't understand the scope of the work. And that's where I would have found out there are scans that I would have said, okay, so I'm not your notary because I'm not doing scans right now, but I'd be happy to refer you if you're not working off a list. But I don't want to find that out after the fact.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much, both of you. This is great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I'll tell you, when I first started, I used to get so nervous when the phone would ring that I didn't, and then I would be like, oh, I know they're so busy, I don't want to ask them questions, but that bit me in the rear end so many times because you do. It's usually more work than you realized, or you didn't, there was some weird component that you forgot to ask about and they just take it for granted. So I learned the hard way to go ahead and stop and ask questions. And the other side of it is, if they get frustrated because they just want a person with a stamp to take the assignment, then I'm not the notary for them. And it's okay to say, all right, good. Well, I'm glad we figured this out on the call and not while I was in the middle of an appointment, right? Or after an appointment.
Right.
So it's a blessing in disguise sometimes. All right, great conversation. Frances Kaplan, nice to see you on today.
Yes, it's been a little while. I've listened to the recordings. I just haven't been able to be on live. I want to second what Gloria said about Jim's training. It was one of the best trainings ever, not just related to the topic. And in my former career, I had a lot of experience developing training programs. And so my standards are very high, and he just checked every box and more.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really fantastic. Okay, so I have two questions. One relates to one that was asked. I'm going to be as quick as I can. Oh, shoot. Oh, there it is. Okay, so the first one, so I have a relatively new direct relationship with a direct client. And it's kind of been growing over a couple of months. When I first met the senior ESCO officer, who kind of took me under her wing as far as what's the word, like, in essence, mentoring me.
Yeah.
Long story short, finally got a first signing last month. It was a seller signing. And mind you, and she actually helped get me approved with the title company. So she introduced me, I went, got vetted, approved, and then she also recommended who to talk to at the different offices, yada, yada. So, but we've never talked about fees. So this is a direct, and you know the rates in Arizona typically can vary, but typically a seller package, maybe 1 to 125, refi and purchase, maybe 125 to 150, depending, and everything else is negotiated, more or less. And then signing services obviously take their 30, 40, sometimes 50%. All right, so we hadn't talked about fees. And on the settlement statement, for this seller signing, the fee was 125 specifically for the notary. And this is a direct, not a signing service. So I was prepared to submit an invoice afterwards for that amount. And in my text communication, and this is what I really need feedback on, and hopefully this will help everybody. So he basically said to go ahead and submit the invoice. So I said, I assumed that the invoice should be what is on the Alta settlement statement, because, and I said something else, but anyway, that was my point. Well, I said, sorry, that I didn't actually know the fees that Driggs typically pays for their preferred notaries, because I'm part of that team now. So he wrote back, and actually I mentioned the title company, I did that last time. Oh, well, no big deal. So for seller, he said 75, for refi and buyer 100. So I said, oh, good thing, basically I hadn't sent it yet, yada, yada. So, glad that I asked about the rates before sending the invoice, since the notary fee was listed on the Alta as 100. This is for a seller signing. So he wrote back, this is an experienced escrow officer. We tend to overestimate where possible. Sellers or buyers always like getting a little extra back. So
Okay.
I thought that was odd. I've never seen that before. And my understanding is they pay for what appears on the Alta settlement statement, and they're not going to get a refund, or they shouldn't get a refund out of the notary fee. So I just did another signing today for them, a refi. Their rates are 100. Normally I get 125 or more with directs. How do I handle this situation?
All right, Francis. So basically, thank you for that. So basically, you've got a direct client who doesn't appear to pay the fees that you want on that. So, and just for clarification, the Alta settlement statement, when we get it, is usually just an estimate. It's not necessarily the final, because all those numbers can change depending on when it actually closes. There are escrow officers that do overestimate. They'll throw in 300 in there just to make sure it's covered and approved by the lender before, so they don't have to go back and say, oh, we need $25 more approved before they can do that. So they build in a little bit of a cushion. That does happen. Still, those rates are significantly less than most direct escrow relationships. So Laura, if you had a direct relationship that you've been cultivating, but you're not on the same page with fees, how would you handle that?
Okay, let's see if I can overtalk my Chihuahua who wants to eat my pool man. So when it's not one job, because I'm not going to really deal with one job, I'm just going to take care of it. But when we're not on the same page with fees, I would be having a conversation to say, one, this is so great. I'm so glad that I'm in this position to work with you guys. And I just wanted to make sure that we were clear on how the fees were working. And my fee is X. And I want to make sure that that was clear, so that when the paperwork comes through, there's no adjustments needed with that. So I always throw out what my fee is, and then I let it land and see what their response to me is. Well, we don't pay more than X amount of dollars for this kind of package. And then you have a decision to make about those kind of packages. You can decide, you know what, maybe I'm going to get the volume that I need out of this, and that's going to be fine for me. It's not that much less. Or maybe that's not, what you want to do. Not all directs are good. Relationships, just like not all signing service relationships are bad. I have some great signing services that I work for that pay me well. And so I make room for them at the top because they're not paying the full amount because they're getting a little bit for themselves. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's perfectly fine. But they know what my fees are.
Right. So since I already accepted their fees, could I go back to say, kind of address it by saying, typically this is what I'm paid by other, title companies for these types of signings here in the local market, and see if we can come to an agreement, something like that, for moving forward. Now that I've proven myself, because I did flawless signings for them, they like me very much.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
So, Francis, right there, have a conversation like that. You know what? I wasn't sure if what was going on with the fees on the first job. So I just accepted it and knew that I would end up having a conversation so that for the future work, we will be on the same page. Just because I accept one job at a certain fee doesn't mean all the next jobs are going to be the same.
Right. And plus, in this case, I printed all the docs actually late last night. So it's not, sometimes you can go pick them up and
Regardless.
having to print, but either way. Okay.
Doesn't even matter. Yeah.
And I'm dropping docs off at their office. Okay. Did you have anything to add to that, Bill?
Yeah. So exactly what Laura said. And it is absolutely okay to hold healthy boundaries with your worth. And there is nothing wrong with walking away with somewhere when you don't necessarily, you're not on the same page, right? They may have a hard line that says, well, I guess we can't work together. It doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to go down in burning flames, right? It's just like you weren't able to come together on that. That's totally fine. If you ever need me outside the hours, or if you run into some issues with a $75 notary or whatever it might be, just know that I'm here for you. I'll be in the background in the wings for you. You can still preserve the relationship and hold your boundaries.
Is there a way to find out, like, if that's their fees across every all their title company offices, or can it really be up to the discretion of the escrow officers? How does that work?
A lot of times it can. It is up to the escrow officers, but so to me, it doesn't matter what other offices are paying. I don't care. If I'm going to do this work for this escrow officer, this is going to be our fee. We come to this agreement.
Okay. Okay, good. And then the second question is a lot faster. So it's getting back to something that I think you were hinting at when you were talking about notary fees. And I've heard this from different places where here in Arizona, as you know, we're set to a certain.
Francis, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Francis. Could you get right to the question?
I'm trying to go as fast as I can. So on this one, in the state of Arizona, we can only charge up to $10 and then 45 cents per mile for travel. But I kind of hear hints at how you can charge additional fees, whether, for scanning or just X, Y, and Z, or after hours. And I really truly need to understand how this works, because it kind of keeps coming up. And I keep hearing, well, actually, you can charge more, and there's a way around that, and here's how you would do it here. So I'm just wanting to put that out because I'm sure I'm not the only one with that question.
Thank you, Francis. So yes, in Arizona, it's really spelled out clearly for us. Our notary fee is a maximum of $10. So if you're charging for notarization, it is capped out at $10 plus the federal employee reimbursable rate, which is different than the IRS tax credit rate, right? So it's this weird number. It's like 45 or 47.5 cents or something round trip. That's it. Now, if you're printing out paperwork and this is for general notary work, by the way, or specialty notary work. But if, like Laura, is all about finding other ways to be of service to somebody. So if you're printing documents for them, like if they need you to print out their living trust because their attorney just emailed it to them, that's an additional fee. You have every right to charge for that. That is not a notarization fee. It is outside the statutes. If you are scanning something into people or you're dropping off, like Laura advocates the courier fee, if they need something taken to the county to record, those are all additional services that you're free to charge for outside of the notarization fee. Laura, what else do you have to say on that?
Oh, I guess I'm unmuted.
You were unmuted.
Okay, I'm unmuted this time. Yeah, I would just continue on the vein that you were, which is all other identifiable services you may charge and are not regulated, as long as it's nothing to do with travel. Okay,
Okay.
All right.
And is there anything else besides printing, scanning, and delivering or dropping off that you can think of that falls under that category where we can charge an additional fee? Other items?
for me, not off the top, but here's what I suggest to you, Francis, is every time you do a specialty job, start thinking about what happened before they got it and what happens after they got it. All right, so do they need to take it to the county clerk? Does it have to go somewhere else? Do they need photocopies made? Do they need to drop the shipping? Think in terms of what are they going to do with that document when they're done? And could you do it for them?
Great.
Perfect.
Thank you, guys.
Great questions. Linda Stern from California, thanks for being here. How can we help today?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can. You sound far away, but we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm using a headset. So I was on the call with Sam and you, or with Jennifer and you, and
Yeah.
I was trying to ask a question, but my link cut out. I stutter, and I have a lot of trouble with that, especially during signings and when I'm nervous. Do you have any resources or advice or anything like that that might be able to help me?
Great question.
One thing I'm really scared of is going to an escrow office and looking stupid because I'm stuttering and trying to get past that when I'm talking.
Linda, thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing that with us today. I know that's a tough situation, and I know there's probably people on this call that have a similar situation, or maybe you've overcome it, or you're going through that right now. So I want to make sure that we include any resources in the chat for that, because I don't want to advise on something I don't have a whole lot of experience with, but I can tell you that what has helped me, because sometimes my brain processes a little slowly when I'm in an uncomfortable situation. So I don't answer as quickly as people expect me to. So I used to feel really insecure about that, because I thought, oh, I'm going to look like an idiot because I walk in here and I got to stop and think about my answer before I just respond. So Toastmasters actually really helped me out with that, because they have this table topics, and there's another feature that they have in there where you have to kind of think on your feet. So it just helped me in a very safe environment work through some of those challenges. Laura, have you heard any specific resources for this?
Well, that was going to be my first one, but my second thing was to just ask a question, which is, under what conditions do you find that it happens more? If you're practiced and you know what you're going to say, do you find that rolls off your tongue better than if you're not quite sure what you're going to say? Meaning, practice in the mirror, practice what are the phrases, what are the things you want to say when you're there, so you don't have to reach for them. Does that help you at all?
That's a great suggestion, almost like practice the conversation ahead of time and know what your prompts are. Linda, the other thing too that occurred to me as Laura was speaking is being vulnerable and sharing with people that, yeah, I stutter, just so you know, I stutter as I start this, or I'm nervous and I stutter when I'm nervous. I think when you tap into the humanity of people, they are very forgiving. Remember, we're surrounded by people who love and support us. They want us to succeed. Everybody in these sales offices, like escrow and real estate, they're surrounded by people who want to help people. Was that at all helpful, Linda?
Yes, it was very much. Thank you so much, Bill and Laura.
You're so welcome. Thanks for being here. All right, Raquel Hawkins from Texas. Thanks for being here. How can we help?
Hi, good afternoon. I have a question as it relates to loan signing. Can you
Hey,
hear me?
Raquel, real quick, I'm so sorry. You sound really far away, like you're muffled, like your microphone's muffled.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, that's getting better.
Is that better?
Maybe not.
Trying to see here. Is that better?
It does sound better, yes.
Okay. I think I have my computer on stand. Okay, real quick. I have a question that relates to a loan signing that I'm doing later this evening. And it's the document I have a question about. And well, let me just get to it. Okay, so it's the affidavit as to debts and liens. And I'm very familiar. I've done this, notarized this form many times. And typically it is a jurat that is at the bottom. On this specific form for this refinance, they've actually included two of the notarial, two of the jurats, the wording for it at the bottom. So typically, wouldn't I cross through one of those and just notarize, fill out the second one? I've already called the signing service. And then I also sent them an email, so I'm waiting to hear back.
Okay, Raquel, I'm gonna just repeat because it's really difficult to hear you, but basically you have an affidavit of debts and liens. You've seen it a million times before, but this one has two jurat certificates attached to it, and you're wondering what this is all about. So Laura, what do you do when you see two jurat certificates on one document?
So I look to see if there's a reason for that. Sometimes when there's two signers, they break up the signers, one certificate, one certificate. We don't have to do that, but sometimes they'll set up the document that way. So I don't know if that could be a potential issue. The other time I see it is when there's capacity as a person and then the attorney in fact. So that could be two different certificates. Do either one of those apply?
There are two signers and their names are on both. So yeah, I thought that was the case, but it's basically the exact same wording twice.
All right, Raquel, we can't hear
both.
Raquel, we can't hear you anymore. I apologize. So Laura, let's just give her our best advice. And
All right, so if both are named in one certificate, the certificate is sufficient the way it is, I would only fill out one because I only notarize one way per document. If there was a jurat and an acknowledgement, I would do both because now they're asking me to certify two different ways. So unless there's an obvious reason for that second certificate, I wouldn't be filling out the second certificate when it's the same notarial act.
Okay, got it. Can you hear me?
not really, you're breaking it up really bad,
Okay,
Raquel.
I'll write it
All
in
right.
the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, you
welcome.
got it. Thank you. All right. Lisa Lawson from California. Thanks for being here. How can we help?
Hi, Bill. Hi, Laura. I have a question regarding insurance. I will be doing general notary work as well as loan signings. Should I get E&O or professional liability or both?
Great question. So if you're going to do loan signings, the loan signing companies and pretty much any hiring company is going to require errors and omissions insurance. The one that they require, the industry requires, is usually just the notary E&O insurance that's provided like from the National Notary Association for $25,000 up to $100,000. However, if you want to get professional liability coverage, which is like a signing agent insurance policy that would cover all the other components that you do as a loan signing agent, that would be an additional policy or a different policy. And whether or not you get it or not is totally up to you and your risk tolerance. It's not going to be required from the industry, but if you want to be covered, that's going to be up to you. Laura, what else do you have to say on that?
Well, my first answer would be whether it's what you would call general, I call specialty, or it's loan signings. The answer is yes. You would want to have some kind of insurance protection when you're dealing with the public, because you never know when something can accidentally go wrong. So that's the first answer. How much you need, that's the second part. And what Bill said is right. It's based on the riskiness of the kinds of documents you're handling, and your tolerance for that. And what he described, which is the E&O that the NNA sells and other companies sell, is just for notarial errors and nothing else, which is probably 90% of what you would possibly have a problem with anyways. I have the general liability because I have an office and people come in and I meet with them in my office. And if they break their leg or something happens to them in my office, I want to be sure that I've got coverage if they decide to sue me for their injury. So that's why I have a secondary policy for that.
Okay, and one quick question, is there a standard amount or that you should hold if you're doing with loan signing agencies, like 50,000 or 100,000? Is there like a requirement?
Yeah, well, typically, if you're doing direct, most are going to start at 100 and some even ask for more than that. For the specialty work, the 25,000 is fine, but you can get it at any increment based on what you're comfortable with.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Great questions. Welcome to the business. All right, Chris B from Southern California. Thanks for being here. How can we help?
Hi, everyone. So my question is regarding identification. Someone told me that passport cards are no longer acceptable as ID. So I can't find it anywhere. I don't see where that new law has come into play. So can you let me know?
Laura, what do you think in California?
Yeah, there is no new law and there's nothing that's been changed. A passport card is treated the same as a passport.
So
it hasn't been identified separately in the law. It is treated the same as the other card.
Okay, so we can still accept a
Yes.
passport card.
Yes.
Okay. Second question, I was responding to Matt Miller at Cal Notaries about HOA elections.
Mhm.
And I was saying that I don't believe in California that we are required to do elections for HOAs anymore, but someone said you do and someone said you don't. So they said, ask you. And so I am.
And so, yes, last year, I handled, oh my God, 75 separate elections for HOAs in my town. This year already, I've handled more than a dozen. I currently have a quote for one in another town. And that quote's going to be over $1,000 for that particular job.
Well, so the question is, I thought elections are no longer required. The community can elect to have an election, but they're not required to by law.
Well, that's not true.
Oh,
It's very specific. If it's by a claim, which means the same board members that were in office are the same slate of candidates for the next year, and they run unopposed, then they can do what's called by a claim and they can skip the election. But it has to be that situation. If it's not that situation, then they must have an election.
okay. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
I have a question.
We've got a lot of people who have their hands up. Who was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Lady Sunshine. I'm using a special computer. So I'm not sure how to do that part of it.
Yeah, Lady Sunshine, I totally understand. I'll get you in the roster here. Can you give us a couple minutes to give a few more people a call? You got it.
Thank you.
All right, John Gorish, thank you so much for being here. How can we help today?
Yeah, I'm here in Houston, Texas. I get phone calls from my website, etc., and they're asking, can I come to your office? But I promote myself on the website and everywhere else. I'm strictly mobile. I don't have an office, especially during the COVID. And then I get this pause reaction and they go, oh, okay, thank you. And then they hang up. So how do I overcome the hesitation of me being a mobile coming to them versus coming to an office to have the work done?
I love this question, John. So I'd love to share my perspective. And I know Laura's got some great ones too, but for me, I try to be a solution. I'm not trying to find a way to clog their process and clog their journey, right? I'm trying to find a way to be a solution to their problem. So I'll say, I don't have an office, I don't have a place you can come, but I have a favorite Starbucks. And it can be whichever Starbucks you want it to be, what's close to you, or what, I have this one with a private room at 28th Street and Indian School. Would that be convenient for you? And we can meet at the Starbucks that way. If we want to meet on the hood of my car, we can meet at QT. Whatever they want to do, I'm going to try to find a solution to paint the picture, because a lot of times people are thinking old fashioned, right? It's show up to an office, have a stamp or a bank or whatever it might be. And I've actually met people at banks too. So if that's going to be a location, just have some locations around town that you're comfortable with, you're aware of, and you know that you're welcome at, and use that as your office. That would be my solution. Laura, what do you say?
So let me think how I want to phrase this. One of the things I do is to understand what they need. And if they don't need mobile service, because they can go to a bank, meaning they don't need to pay for the extra service that I'm providing access other than them spending their time and gas to go somewhere, then my service isn't the service they need. So I help them get to the service that they need, because the impression I want to create is that I'm a resource for them. If you're not needing mobile service today and you would prefer to actually go somewhere, let me recommend a great place for you to be taken care of. You could go to X to Y or to Z. I have their address or I have their phone numbers if you would like them. And what happens is they might go say, thank you very much, and they go take care of that. But they end up coming back to me at another time when they need my kind of service. My kind of service isn't necessary for everybody all the time. So I only, when I see that they need mobile service, meaning they need me to come to them, that's the service I'm providing, whether it's at their home or wherever it is they need me to come. I'm happy to do that, to the hospital, to the jail. That's what I do. I go to places where the signer's unable to come out. But when they don't have any reason to pay for mobile service, then I'm going to look to see how can I help them best in a different way.
Thank you.
Yep, great idea too. And don't be afraid to, like Laura has a great relationship with a friend of hers who owns a shipping location that offers notary services. I have a favorite UPS store that I have my PO box at. They've helped me out so much. I send people to them all the time. If it makes sense, if people hear my fee for me to drive that far up there, it's pretty expensive. When they hear that and they're like, I just want to pay $10. I'm like, go to the UPS store. Here's the address. These guys are great. Ask for such and such, and they'll hook you up. It's okay to be a resource. They're still going to, they might remember you, they might not, but they're going to appreciate your level of service for sure. It helps you stand out.
My experience is they do remember that you did that. Number one. Number two, I saw Matt happen to post, you can always create an office space for yourself for people who want to meet you in a more traditional space by doing a office share, where you rent a piece of office for those occasions. I don't know where you're at, if there's places where you can rent for less than by the month, by the day, by the hour, but you might want to check into that so that you have an option if that's what they want to do. But then remember, it becomes your base of operation. There's no travel fee for you if you're working from an office.
Awesome. Great questions, John. Lady Sunshine, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yes. I had two comments and one question. For the lady Linda, who has a challenge with her speech, she might want to just hum. Humming, I notice, eases the stuttering, and it also puts the other person at ease as well, and it'll dissipate some of that nervousness. The nervousness won't stop, but it'll dissipate. In regards to the gentleman that just asked a question about an office, for everyone on this line, whatever state you're in, Google in your state accelerator or incubator programs. These programs are free office space where you don't pay anything and you have an entire office at your fingertips.
Awesome.
They're called accelerator or incubator programs, 100% free. Conference room, printers, you name it, you have it.
That's fantastic, Lady Sunshine. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Mhm. And
Great
you can
tips.
actually get them in different towns so you can cover more space and literally advertise. I have an office here, here, and here. Make an appointment.
Love it.
Just to let you know. My question is extremely basic. As a newbie on the block, I want to find out and confirm. When it comes to a jurat, do the person signs the jurat and the acknowledgement, or they just sign the jurat when it's a jurat? I'm talking about the signee.
So you have a document in front of you, and there's usually just one certificate attached to it. Sometimes there's two, but usually there's just one. And it's either a jurat or a certificate usually. So how does that fit into your question?
My question is, does the signee sign the actual jurat certificate?
No. So you're saying, are they signing on your certificate space?
Yes.
No, that's for the notary. They sign the document space. So
Yeah, that's
document
what I thought.
continues, yeah, and then you get to their signature line, and after the signature line should come your part, and then that's all your part.
So they never sign, because I had someone
Yeah.
that I had to tell them, no, you don't sign the jurat. You sign
That's right.
your signage page, which is the
Yes.
page before the jurat.
Correct.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and just to let all of you know, this is new for me, and it's new listening to each and every one of you, and it's really a privilege to do so. And there are a lot of free. I was in business consulting, and I tell everyone my motto is from zero to free, and that's what I try to help people with, services and sources and resources. There are a lot of sources right in your town that are not spoken of, that you can expand what you do and not have to rely on contract by contract, company by company, title by title. There is even money set aside from the government for contracts for notaries, just to let you know.
That's fantastic, Lady Sunshine. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we'll probably dig into that a little deeper one of these days too, so we can share that information. Thanks for being here.
No, thank you guys for having this forum. It's so wonderful that you guys are giving up your time and your experience and your wisdom. That's awesome. I really admire that. I thank each and every one of you.
That's our pleasure. Thank you. Skeevman's iPhone is in the house. Skeevman, welcome. What state are you in and how can we help? Skeevman. We'll come back. I'm sure you're looking for the mute button on your phone. It is not easy to find all the time. Phil Shannon, thank you so much for being here. Nice to see you after a couple weeks off. Looks like you're feeling better.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody. And I apologize. Last week, I was doing my best to try and get here, but I had 50 CHP officers who wouldn't let me leave. Now they're customers, so don't think bad things about me, please. But just want to welcome everybody and also make everyone aware that for those who are basketball fans, and I know Laura already knows this, we have March Madness coming up. And I'm going to discuss that on the Zoom that I always do 5 to 10 minutes after TNT finishes. So if you do not have the link to that Zoom, come and find out about March Madness. For those of you who are not basketball fans, come and get some great information. As Bill and Laura know, I've worked with notaries for a long time and just love helping you protect and grow your business. So thanks. My number is listed with my name, and I know, Bill, you have access to, you can tell them where they can get the information as well. But thanks again. Miss all you guys. Nice to see you all again. Nice to be back.
All right, thanks, Phil. Appreciate it. And yeah, if you want to join Phil for that Zoom conversation 10 minutes after TNT, You can find the link, direct link to Zoom at notarycoach.com/TNT. Scroll down to the very bottom of the page and you can click right in there. You don't have to register or anything. You just pop in. All right, Manuel Puega, thanks for being here.
Hi, how are you, everyone? My question is, I want to do things the right way. I've done a lot of general notary, and I'm getting busier on that. I have not charged for a traveling fee because I know I can. I just don't know how to make I don't know if it's a legal letter, agreement document, or anything that I need to actually either email or send to the client before I go out. I want to do it professionally rather than say, hey, my fee is such and such. I just want to have a template, or anybody has a template or anything that I can go off and just modify it.
All right, Manuel, thank you. Well, I love that you're committed to integrity. That's a really great first step. And in California, you're perfectly entitled to charge travel fees and convenience fees and many other fees. It's one of the great advantages you have when you bring value to the customer experience. I'd like Laura to even talk about that a little bit.
So we are not restricted in terms of what we can charge. And when I develop my fee schedule, I consider what my time is that it takes to do the job well for them. And then, of course, the $15 per signature per note, per notarial act. So I want you to consider, Manuel. Well, first of all, I don't have a template. When I call, I quote once I know the scope of the work. And I let them know up front, based on what you shared, this is what I believe it's going to be. Then when I get there and I actually do the work, the receipt that I provide them delineates, I traveled, I notarized, I printed, I did this, I did that. And so that they have an entire listing in writing of all the services I provided. And that's how I got to the total. In terms of how I determine the travel, again, it's around my time, and my time is around what kind of place are they asking me to go to. If I'm going to your home, that's a lot easier for me to come in, take care of business, and go out than if you're asking me to come to assisted living or skilled nursing. And if you're asking me to go to a hospital, that takes more time, and there's wait time and there's check-in time. So that's going to be a higher fee than it would be just to come to your home. And if you ask me to go to the jail, it's going to be even more time because there's a lot of wait time involved in doing that kind of work before you can even get in. So you need to think, and of course, depending on where you are in California, you may have toll bridges, you may have paid parking that you have to deal with. So, and for me, even I went to skilled nursing and they wanted me to bring my own COVID test and run a COVID test right there, even though I had all the stuff that said I was free of COVID. So that was an extra 15 minutes and an extra $10 for the test, right? So those are the things that you want to consider when you're taking on an assignment. And so just be sure to share that up front with your signer. It does not have to be in writing up front. They just have to be told, and it's based on what they're telling you, right? And so the quote could change if you get there and it turns out there's 4 signatures to notarize, not 1.
Great.
All right. Thank you
Is
very
that
much.
helpful?
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. It's important to remember that we're not like sideswiping them with the fees, right? Like we're not getting in there like, oh, they think it's going to be $15 and it's going to be 150. It's not like that at all, right? You're going to be totally upfront, communicate with them, and they'll set the expectations from the beginning. And Laura does it really well too. When she says, as long as this is the work when we get there, it's great. But if it's different at all, if you don't have your witnesses, if you have expired ID, there's could be some other things that could impact these fees. All right, great questions. Great questions. Cynthia in Texas, thanks for being here. How can we help?
Hello. I have a question. So eNotary and Ron, those are not the same, correct?
Well, it depends on who you're talking to, but yeah, typically it is not
Different.
the same. Yeah. Electronic notary
Mhm.
usually refers to in-person electronic notarization, where you still have physical presence with the customer. You're just using electronic devices to complete the notarization and the signing.
Okay,
Ron is
so
remote online notarization, so you're in two different places using technology to communicate through.
right, right. So if do you have to be on a certain platform to do the e-notary?
No,
No?
there's not anything in the law about a platform, a specific platform for that. There is for Ron. But
Right.
unless in Texas, they have specified something, I have not seen that, because everything is being done manually outside of that system, outside of your computer. The only thing you're doing is pulling up a document electronically, and your e-seal is going to have some kind of security features involved in order to affix that to the document. But that's around your electronic seal and signature, not a specific platform, because the person's there, they're handing you their ID. That's all being done by you manually.
Okay.
And it could be state specific with Texas too, because I notice Arizona kind of copies Texas sometimes, and we don't have to get it approved, but we need to tell the state what technology we're using for our e-notary.
Okay.
So when I use iPen, I have to say, I've got it. So I have to tell them I use the escrow tab device and register it with them.
Okay. Thank you.
You got it. Great question. And I think we have time for a couple more here. Martha from New York, thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks. My question relates to the Google advertising platform. They gave me a $500 credit where I have to spend $500 first, and then they give me an additional $500. And I was wondering, do you have a suggestion on what I should be spending per month? Because that's up to me. Thank you.
Yeah, what a great question. I think it leaves, it could go any directions, right? There's some people who spend $500 an hour on Google, but you probably don't want or can't handle that kind of volume either. I don't know if there'd be that kind of volume in New York anyway for notarizations. So I think you have to kind of tinker around with it and play with it. When I tried advertising, I set a budget of like $100 a month. Some people I know, I think there's a few on this call actually that have like a $300 to $500 per month monthly budget for Google ads or even Facebook ads, but I think Google ads is probably the better fit for those. And their return on investment is really actually quite decent. But a lot of it, there's so many factors that come into play with your advertising. It's your keyword, it's your ideal customer, it's your geographic location on what the response is going to be. So if it was me, I'd probably start out with like a $10 a day budget and just track my response and my results. Are people responding? Am I getting business? Is nobody clicking? Have I missed the mark completely, or am I nailing it? And then just keep tweaking it. It's a lot of tweaking when it comes to advertising. Laura, have you heard anything? Oh, here's Matt. He says he spends $500 a month. And he's getting the response for that too. But I think Matt, do you want to jump in here? How often do you tweak your ads? Or did you have to tweak your ads when you first started?
You unmute, Matt?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there he goes.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I spend about an hour on it a month because once you get it set up and get it going, you really don't need to continuously add keywords. You might add some negative keywords, like if you're showing up for something completely unrelated. But Google or pay-per-click advertising in general is a lot like setting your rates. It has to do with your market, how much competition there is, how much reach you want, because you can set your ads to be very hyper-local or much more broad. So there's no one magic number. For me, in the San Francisco Bay Area market, $500 a month tends to come back to me 3 or 4 times. So it works for me in this market, but I can't say that it will work for you in your market.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Thanks for chiming in. Appreciate that. Hope that is helpful. Guys, that brings us right up to the hour. I apologize to those who we did not get to today, but thank you so much for being here. This is Laura and I's favorite time of the week to hang out with you and answer questions. So thank you. Laura, any closing words?
I do. I just saw that passport card thing come up. Realize, guys, that if you're in California, the passport's in Group A and it does not require all 4 elements like the other cards. So the California driver's license, the passport card does not require the 4 PPSS, right? Physical description, signature, serial number. So please make sure you know what you're reading when you're looking at those IDs.
All right,
And
wonderful.
other than that, great to see you all.
Yep. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Thank you.
Bye.